Imagine this. A storm rages over the Atlantic. Waves slam against a wooden ship. Lightning tears across the sky, and in the chaos, a single command is shouted through the darkness. Throw them overboard! In the year 1781, aboard the British slave ship Zong, more than 130 enslaved Africans were cast alive into the sea. Not because of a storm, not because of rebellion, but because the captain believed their deaths would bring profit. The voyage began on the coast of Ghana, where hundreds of men, women, and children were forced below deck, chained together in suffocating heat. The hold was a prison carved from wood, no light, little air, and barely enough space to breathe. Every hour echoed with coughing, crying, and the metallic rattle of chains. Above them stood Captain Luke Collingwood, inexperienced, ill, and increasingly desperate. His navigational errors drove the ship far off course, deep into open water. Supplies dwindled. Illness spread. Barrels of fresh water ran dry, and panic crept in like a shadow tightening its grip around the ship. Then came the captain's dreadful realization. If enslaved people died of disease, the ship's owners would suffer financial loss. But if they were lost at sea, the insurance company would compensate them for each person, treated legally as cargo, not human lives. And so a horrific decision was made. On the first day, dozens of enslaved Africans were dragged to the deck, shackled and pushed into the roaring ocean. Their screams vanished beneath thunder and waves. The next day it happened again and again. For 3 days the massacre continued. 130 lives erased, not by nature but by greed. When it was finally over, the ocean grew quiet. But for those who remained, silence was even more terrifying than the storm. The survivors stared into the waves, the grave of their families and friends. The captain wrote in his logbook coldly and without emotion, 30 slaves drowned. No regret, no humanity. Just numbers. A lecture of lives lost to greed. When the Zong finally reached Jamaica, the crew did something unimaginable. They filed an insurance claim, demanding payment for the loss of their human cargo. What followed was a trial in Britain, not for murder, but for property loss. The court debated compensation, not morality. Human beings were reduced to numbers on a merchant's ledger. But news of the atrocity spread. Abolitionists like Granville Sharp and Olaudah Equiano exposed the horror to the public. Outrage swept across Britain as people learned the truth about the Zong. The massacre became a turning point, a spark that accelerated the movement to end the transatlantic slave trade. Centuries later, the Atlantic still rolls over the place where those 130 souls were thrown into the deep, but their story remains, a dark reminder of what happens when humanity is swallowed by profit. The Zong massacre was not just a tragedy.